It's no great secret that over the past century, America's food system has become increasingly industrialized and centralized. It's an economy of scale that has served us well, at least in strictly economic terms. In 1930, the average American family spent 24.2% of its income on food. That number has declined in every single decade since. By 2007, it had fallen to 9.8%. Of course, there are hidden costs in the form of health problems wrought by processed foods, and an agricultural industry that has become heavily reliant on subsidies paid out of your taxes. But the fact remains, until very recently, our food has never been cheaper. It has also never been more corrosive to our health and environment. There are other problems with our centralized food system. Most critically, it's vulnerable to energy supply disruptions, terrorist attacks, widespread outbreaks of foodborne illness, and any unforeseen emergency that disrupts the constant flow of trains and trailers. And recent events suggest that it simply might not be able to keep up with a population that's growing at the rate of 3 million mouths annually. Consider this. In 2001, the United States had a $14.3 billion agricultural surplus. By 2005, that surplus had shrunk to $3.8 billion. It might seem crazily, disturbingly pessimistic to think that the United States, a nation renowned for abundance, could run short of food. But in 2007, driven by drought, biofuels, and the simple limits of soil, global grain stocks declined to a level not seen in 34 years. Given that 2008 saw continued drought in major grain-producing nations such as Australia and biblical flooding in the Midwestern United States, it's unlikely the situation will resolve itself soon. In fact, much of the steep run-up in rice prices last spring was due to many rice-exporting nations exporting less. The result wasn't merely an expensive pot of rice. Many Costco superstores limited sales of the grain to their customers. That's right. Food rationing in the United States in 2008. What conclusion might we draw from this? Unfortunately, it isn't pretty, because the fact is that our nation's food supply has never been more vulnerable. And we, as consumers of food, share that vulnerability, having slowly, inexorably relinquished control over the very thing that's most critical to our survival. We have become utterly dependent on a supply chain that is entirely beyond our control, in no small part because it typically starts a half-continent away. There is no single action, corporation, or agency that can secure this fragile infrastructure and deliver us a steady supply of nourishment. We could debate endlessly and vigorously over the root cause of this tragic disconnect, and perhaps there's some value in that. But the truth is, we've arrived at this crisis from many and varied directions. Is it the modern archetype of agriculture as a corporate entity with its deep pockets and unquenchable appetite for profit? Yes. Is it the intricate web of governmental regulations and subsidies that have supported the food as a commodity model? Yes. Is it the inexorable chipping away of our land and skills base to the point where the vast majority of us no longer possess the means or the knowledge to produce even a head of lettuce? Yes. Is it our willingness to allow these things to slip through our fingers in favor of the ease of supermarket shopping? Yes. The cheap food boom has been seductively comfortable for us all. Let's face it, farming is damn hard work, typically done for damnable pay. By relinquishing this burden, by handing the reins to the corporations, we relieved ourselves of a lot of backaches, sunburns, and financial strains. We struck a deal. The agribusinesses got a guaranteed chunk of our income and our full faith in their ability to keep us sustained. In return, we got to pursue lifestyles that don't revolve around soil and toil, and that allow us a measure of leisure time unprecedented in human history.